5 is your business.
Hey, I'm over here at GC America's Logistics Center. I gave a course a couple weeks ago, as you probably know, and at that time I got a chance to use this neat little unit that they're now offering. It's the Labolight DUO. And the reason I liked it right off the bat is it only takes up this amount of space, yet you get 2 units worth of use out of it, meaning that you have a step light and a Labolight all in one. In other words, I can step something I'm curing just like I would under my step light without having to close the unit. That's the other cool thing, is this unit closes. As you can see this way, it just closes like that. Obviously it turns it off immediately. Your timer is also set up here, 1, 1.5, 3, and 5 minutes. However, you're probably going to end up, if you're doing veneering and optoglaze type products, you're going to be really keeping it low. In fact, you're going to, in some cases, you're probably going to open the oven sooner than it should, because the penetration of light is extremely, well, it's extremely better because it's blue and violet LED rather than halogen on one, and on the other unit, the other Labolight unit, it was fluorescent. So the penetration's better, and that obviously is a big benefit. The footprint, the fact that you're not going to get a tanned hand. Every time you put this underneath here to cure, like in steps or stages, like I do with my optoglaze and optoglaze color, is I don't have to worry about anything like burning my fingers after several usages. Another thing that's actually very cool is the bulb life. 5 years worth the normal use with this unit, as opposed to 1.5 years with the other units that were offered, the Labolight and the standard step. Of course, the step light is a halogen bulb, but you'd have to replace the fluorescence after 1.5 years on the Labolight. So, you know, I wanted to just kind of walk you through it real quick, show you. It's got a nice little rubber deflector here, so you don't have to worry about jamming your hand in there and hurting your fingers all the time because you're trying to get a unit underneath. And again, you can run it through in cycles, so you don't have to be concerned about over-curing. And as I have mentioned in my other videos, don't forget, you can over-cure optoglaze and basically burn that product. They call it burn, but basically it'll discolor after a period of time in the patient's mouth. So you've got to make sure that you keep those cycles very short and only accumulate up to about a minute and not much more after that. It also cures, and you've all seen this one too at my courses and on my videos, about how to cure the Gradia opaque and opaque frames, opaque mesh, opaque clasps, and bars, everything. Works here just like it would with your step light and Labolight. As you know, I use only the step light for the opaques, and then I use a covering of optoglaze clear to finish it up. But again, you can do all of those in a shorter period of time. Like I say, I would shorten my cycles when I use this cool little unit right here. So we've got this bar. All you do is, while you need to activate, all you do is just press it like this, and you can hold your units underneath to give it that initial cure. You don't have to keep it under for the full pulse because of the fact, obviously, you don't want to overexpose products. And the vertical. So you have light coming from 3 different areas while this is turning, and it makes for a much nicer cure. Let me see if I can put that on there for you. Let me see. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this little rascal like this. I'm going to pull it off of here, and I'm going to take it right down in there so you can see through the window, and you can see that that's turning, and that's elevated on a platform, and it's being hit 3 different angles: oblique, horizontal, and vertical. So if I have my unit in there and I need to go in to make some kind of adjustment, I can lift up the lid. I have a grace period to move something around or add something real quickly, and then still be able to close the unit, and it will continue with its cycle. Neat little feature. As you can see, you got your step light, conventional step light, you got your conventional Labolight, and now you have both functions in one unit. I mean, how can you go wrong? Much smaller footprint, less moving around from one to the other. I mean, it's just outstanding value as far as I'm concerned. And again, keep it closed, keep the dust out while you're not working with the unit. Got your nice display. It's very slick and clean. Oh, here's something else I wanted to show you. While I'm showing you features here, just let me reach over here real quickly. Here's your power supply. It's very small. You know, it's just a one little power supply here. It's like we have for our laptop computers. You just unplug it, roll it up. If you've got to move it, put it off the table, and it's very, very, very light. It's a little light unit, you know, not much to it. Kind of space age looking too. So if you saw the video here at the beginning, this is the unit that I was kind of hot to trot about. It's the Labolight DUO. It's a little product review. I'm going to use some of the slides that are available on their PDF just to show you some of the features, since I was kind of all over the joint on that video you just saw. Anyways, that's the unit. It's 2-in-1. Basically, it's your Labolight and your step light in one. You can do the step procedures with it in the short mode or in the long mode for the long cure. So, you know, it cures all dental composite materials like Gradia gum, Optiglaze color. I'm using it for my base plate material, my light cured base plate material. There are other types of halogen curable products and also composite materials that will cure under this light source because of the fact that it has such a wide band. It uses LEDs in both the violet and blue, which covers a very wide, very broad spectrum. So we can cure a lot of products with one machine. So I won't have to worry about overheating my base plate material anymore to the point where the wax that I've used to block out underneath begins to melt. Another thing that I mentioned when you saw the video, the lights come from 3 directions: occlusal, oblique, and horizontal, and that's just to make sure that light penetration is uniform. Reduces the curing time on coating material. In other words, the fluorescents that were in the old Labolights, as I mentioned, weren't nearly as strong. The LEDs are much stronger and make the products even harder because of the fact that there's a deeper cure, and you don't have to run them as long either. And the nice thing is it generates very little heat because they are LEDs. If you know anything about LED lights, it's what's in car headlights and so forth. You know those obnoxious car headlights that blind us as they come on to us on the roadway. Well, it's that intensity that makes it so uniform in its cure and so deep in its cure. Less running costs. You know those fluorescent bulbs had to be changed out rather routinely based on some time frames. I'll show you that in a minute, but 5 years on the LEDs and longer. Really haven't had it out in the field as long any longer than that, so it's hard to say. But you know, you at least get 5 years out of it instead of the conventional year and a half or so, with a year to year and a half with either the halogen bulbs or the fluorescent bulbs. And by the way, those halogen bulbs, even though they look like they're working really good, you might want to check your units, your halogen units, to make sure that those bulbs are at their full wavelength intensities, because even though they're bright, they do tend to diminish in time, and you'll find that your work will get tacky over a period of time. Just something worth mentioning. It also saves workspace, as I showed you, and because of the fact you don't have a bunch of machines people have to go to, it's much more labor efficient. Here's that unidirectional 3 different light areas that you can see here. You get your horizontal, your oblique, and your occlusal, so you're getting light from all over the place. With the others, you didn't get nearly the amount of light nor the amount of penetration, and so we had to leave them in longer. This really takes care of any shadows that might occur from misaligned lighting. This has all been figured out so that you get the best light intensity uniformly. Here's just an example using a crown that would be cured with the gradia. And you can notice the occlusal, of course, the oblique coming in at all angles, and the horizontal. Again, takes care of all the shadows that in the past you'd have to make sure that you rotated your product, took it out, rotated it, put it back in to make sure you got full intensity of cure. This way it's being hit while it's rotating and there is no shadows being cast. Again, the amount of time involved to get a pencil hardness of 6, the Labolight, the old one, 5 minutes. In the Duo, now because we have the wavelength, the intensity covered, 1.5 minutes. And you get 9 in the hardness rating, in the pencil hardness rating, for like almost a third the time, down 70% anyways. Here's that wavelength coverage I was talking about, just in case you were curious. This red line here indicates the old Labolight and the fluorescent bulb. And you'll notice the blue and violet LEDs with the Duo. They cover an intensity level in here. And that would be obviously the optoglaze coloring zone, color curing zone, which is cool because we don't have to worry about heat anymore with the halogen. So we've got the halogen spectrum covered, and they have the composite spectrum covered, and that's very cool. So this is covered, both this and this are both covered in that same machine, whereas you could only get this with the Labolight, and then you could only get this with the old step light, but now you can get them both. Pretty cool, I think. So there's a much wider wavelength coverage, and again, like I said, you can use a host of other products that are light curable. I found that the base plate materials and some of the other materials out there are curing very nicely and a much shorter period of time with the Duo machine. Here's a little math they did. First off, as I mentioned before, Labolight fluorescence, 6 to 8 months, maybe a year. Step light halogen bulb, 1 to 1.5 years, but the Labolight Duo, 5 years plus. And that's based on 10 cases a day, 200 working days, 2,000 cases a year. With the time involved, 67 hours, gives you a grand total of 267 hours a year of use. And based on that, that's the 267 hours is how they come up with these lifespans of these bulbs. Again, I'll emphasize the Duo and the fact that you don't have to think about any kind of light change at least up till 5 years. And that's a pretty cool thing. And you don't have to check the intensity. These here, you don't know, the intensity diminishes when you realize it's because your products are sticky. Thanks for tuning into the YouTube channel. The next one that I put together will be on a technique using actually this machine in a kind of innovative way. Okay, see you later.